When I was 14, my life was turned upside down. My mom, who had always been my best friend, passed away after a long and grueling battle with cancer. Watching her fight was heartbreaking. She was so strong, but the illness eventually took everything from her. Losing her felt like losing a part of myself. She was my rock, my safe place, and I still feel the pain of losing her to this day, despite they say that time heals. After she passed, it was just me and my dad. For a while, we clung to each other, trying to live our life without her. It was hard, but in those early days, I felt like we were a team. My dad and I had always been close, and I thought that bond would only grow stronger as we worked through our grief together. But things didn't stay that way. 2 years after my mom's death, my dad met Anna. At first, I was cautiously optimistic. I wanted my dad to be happy, and I hoped Anna could bring some light back into his life. She seemed kind enough when we first met, and I even thought we might be able to build some kind of relationship. I knew no one could replace my mom, but I wanted to give Anna a chance. Things changed quickly after they got married. Anna moved in with her daughter, Lily, who was a year younger than me. Lily is a competitive ballroom dancer, and I quickly learned that her dance career was not just a hobby, it was Anna's entire world. It became clear that Anna wasn't interested in blending anything. She was all about Lily, and her world revolved entirely around her daughter's dance career. Every conversation, every decision, every weekend, it was all about Lily's competitions, her costumes, her practice schedule. Anna wasn't just a proud mom, she was obsessed. She even dragged my dad into it, turning him into a crazy sports parent who traveled to competitions, cheered from the sidelines, and spent ridiculous amounts of money on lessons and outfits. At first, I thought it was nice that she was so involved in her daughter's life. But it didn't take long for that admiration to turn into resentment. Anna wasn't just prioritizing Lily, she was treating her like the golden child. Meanwhile, I was treated like I didn't matter. My hobbies and interests were dismissed as unimportant. If I got a good grade or accomplished something, it was met with lukewarm acknowledgement, if that. But if Lily won an award or placed in a competition, it was a cause for celebration. Anna constantly praised Lily for her dedication and talent, while subtly, and sometimes not so subtly, putting me down. What hurt the most was my dad's silence. He had always been my biggest supporter, the one person I could count on to have my back. But now, he just stood by while Anna treated me like a second-class citizen. He never defended me or told her to stop. I don't know if he was blinded by love or just didn't want to rock the boat, but his inaction was very hurtful. I tried to talk to him about it once, but he brushed it off, saying, "Anna doesn't mean anything by it. She's just really passionate about Lily's dancing. Don't take it personally." But how could I not take it personally when I was being treated like an afterthought in my own home? One of the few things I have left of my mom is a pair of heirloom diamond earrings. They belonged to my grandmother and were passed down to my mom before she passed them on to me. They're not just jewelry. They're a piece of my mom's legacy, a tangible reminder of the woman who meant everything to me. I've never worn them because they're so special to me. I keep them safe in a box, taking them out occasionally just to feel close to her. A few weeks ago, Anna asked me if Lily could borrow the earrings for an upcoming ballroom dance competition. She said they would complete her look and help her stand out on the dance floor. I immediately said no. Those earrings aren't just accessories, they're deeply sentimental. Anna didn't take my refusal well. She accused me of being selfish and petty, saying I was jealous of Lily's success and refusing to help her shine. I tried to explain how much the earrings meant to me, but Anna didn't care. She called me immature and said I was stuck in the past. When I still refused, Anna exploded. She told me I was no longer welcome in the house and demanded that I pack my things and leave. I was shocked. The house Anna tried to kick me out of isn't hers. It's my late mother's house. She inherited it from her parents, and when she passed, she left it to both my dad and me. Legally, I own half of it. I told Anna I wasn't going anywhere. If anyone had to leave, it would be her. That, of course, didn't sit well with her, and sadly with my dad as well. Anna didn't stop there. She went straight to my dad, complaining about how unreasonable I was being. That evening, my dad came to talk to me. At first, I thought he might be there to defend me, but I quickly realized he was taking Anna's side. He started by asking me to reconsider and let Lily borrow the earrings. He said it wasn't a big deal and that it would mean a lot to Anna and Lily. I told him that it was a big deal to me. Those earrings are one of the few things I have left of my mom, and I wasn't going to let anyone else wear them. When I stood my ground, my dad sighed and said, "Then maybe it's best if you go stay with your grandparents for a while, just until things calm down." I was stunned. I asked him why I should have to leave. This is my home too. Legally, I own half of it, since my mom left it to both of us in her will. Why should I have to uproot my life because Anna and Lily didn't get their way? He tried to justify it by saying it would give everyone some space and that it was just temporary. He even said I should be the bigger person for the sake of the family. I told him I wasn't going anywhere. I said that if Anna wasn't happy living with me, she was free to leave, but I wasn't going to be pushed out of my own home. My dad didn't take that well. He accused me of being stubborn and selfish, saying that I was making things harder for everyone. Anna's been giving me the silent treatment ever since, and Lily acts like I don't exist. My dad has been guilt-tripping me nonstop, saying things like, "I've done so much for you since your mom died, and this is how you repay me?" He keeps insisting that I should go to my grandparents' house, saying that I'm putting his marriage at risk and tearing the family apart. It's been exhausting. The tension in the house is unbearable, but I refuse to back down. This is my home, and I shouldn't have to leave just because Anna and Lily want me gone. My grandparents are fully on my side and furious with my father. This house is more than just a place to live. It's my mom's house, the home she built for us. I already feel like I've lost so much of her. I'm not going to let Anna and Lily take this from me too. My dad keeps saying I'm ruining his marriage. But why should I have to sacrifice my stability and peace for a relationship that has made me feel like an outsider in my own life? So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to leave and standing my ground? Or am I really the one tearing this family apart? Wow, OP's stepmother and dad are completely out of line. First of all, those earrings are OP's inheritance and a deeply sentimental connection to OP's mother. The fact that Anna felt entitled to demand them and then complained to OP's dad when OP refused is ridiculous. And OP's dad? He's prioritizing his new wife over OP and OP's feelings, which is honestly heartbreaking. This is OP's home, legally and emotionally, and OP has every right to stay. Good for OP for refusing to leave. Anna and Lily are acting entitled, and OP's dad is enabling them. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Definitely not the a-hole. Your stepmother is out of control, and your dad is letting her walk all over you. The fact that he's asking you to leave your home instead of standing up to Anna speaks volumes. Why should you have to leave the house your mother left you because Anna and Lily don't respect you or your boundaries? This isn't about trying to calm things down. It's about them trying to push you into giving in. You're absolutely right to stay where you are. Don't let them push you out of what's yours. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Not the a-hole, not even a little bit. Anna is clearly playing the poor me card to manipulate your dad, and he's falling for it. It's outrageous that she would even ask for something as personal as your mother's earrings, let alone turn it into a massive conflict when you said no. And your dad asking you to leave your own home? Unbelievable. Stay put, and don't let them make you feel like you're the problem. You're doing the right thing by standing your ground. Not the a-hole. Anna is treating you like you're some unwanted guest in your own home, and your dad is enabling her behavior. Those earrings are not just jewelry. They're a piece of your mother, and you have every right to protect them. The fact that your dad asked you to leave instead of confronting Anna about her entitlement is incredibly disappointing. It's like he's choosing her over you, and that's not okay. You're not ruining his marriage. Anna's selfishness and your dad's inability to stand up for you are the real problems here. Update. After the incident with the earrings and my refusal to leave the house, the tension between Anna, Lily, and me skyrocketed. Every day felt like a battle, and my dad seemed more distant than ever. Anna continued to give me the silent treatment, but when she did speak, it was always to make snide comments or backhanded remarks about how some people can't get over their jealousy. Lily acted like I didn't exist, and my father? He kept pleading with me to compromise for the sake of family peace, which basically meant doing whatever Anna wanted. The atmosphere in the house became unbearable. I couldn't relax, couldn't focus, and couldn't even feel safe in my own home. It wasn't just emotionally draining, it was suffocating. I knew I couldn't keep living like this, and my grandparents, who have been my biggest supporters throughout this ordeal, stepped in with a suggestion. They offered to give me the money to buy out my father's share of the house. At first, I was hesitant. The house has so much sentimental value to me because it was my mother's, and I hated the idea of buying what was already supposed to be partly mine. But I realized that it might be the only way to regain some peace and stability in my life. I approached my father with the offer. I told him I'd use the money from my grandparents to buy his half of the house, allowing him, Anna, and Lily to move into a place where they could live without me being in their way. I thought this was a fair solution. He'd get money to buy a new home, and I'd finally have my space back. To my surprise, and honestly my disappointment, my father refused the offer. He said that the amount he'd get from selling his half of the house wouldn't be enough to buy a nice house for himself, Anna, and Lily. He insisted that selling his share wasn't an option, and tried to guilt-trip me again, saying that I was being selfish and not thinking about how hard this would make things for him and Anna. It was like a slap in the face. He didn't agree to move out while I made a fair offer to give him money, and demands I move out while leaving him and his wife the house that belongs to me for free. His audacity was shocking. At that point, I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I couldn't keep sacrificing my peace, my mental health, and my dignity to keep everyone else comfortable. Since my father refused to sell his share, I decided to take legal action. With the help of a lawyer and my grandparents' support, I filed a lawsuit to force a division or sale of the house. Legally, I own half of it, and the court can order the property to be divided or sold if co-owners can't come to an agreement. It's not a decision I made lightly. My father is furious and is accusing me of trying to destroy his life and make him homeless. Anna is predictably playing the victim, telling anyone who will listen that I'm trying to make them homeless because I'm so jealous of Lily. Lily doesn't seem to care. She's too busy with her ballroom competitions to notice what's going on. I won't lie. This whole situation is incredibly stressful, and it hurts to be at odds with my own father. But I know I'm doing the right thing. I deserve to feel safe and comfortable in my own home, and if they can't respect that, then it's time to move on. Update 2. After a long and exhausting court battle, the judge finally ruled in my favor and ordered my father to sell the house. While this decision brought me some relief, it also came with a painful cost I wasn't fully prepared for. My father was furious about the outcome. He accused me of being ungrateful, selfish, and vindictive. In his anger, he told me I'd betrayed him and his family, going so far as to say he wanted nothing to do with me anymore. He's officially disowned me. Anna, predictably, is playing the victim and acting like I've destroyed her life, made her family homeless just because of my jealousy. Same old story, nothing new. Thankfully, my grandparents have been my rock through all of this, reminding me that I did what I had to do to protect my mental health and future. Losing my father this way was heartbreaking, but after years of feeling like an outsider in my own home, I know this was the right choice. A few years ago, husband took on a new job. It was for a small startup business, and he took a massive pay cut to do it because he loved what he was working on. It meant long hours, so I willingly took on all the household responsibilities so he could work to the best of his abilities. Taken on all the responsibilities with our kids, and I also brought some money in with a small side job of my own. His hard work has paid off for us. This business has taken off, and it looks to make a fair bit of money, more than we have ever had, and my husband has gotten a substantial pay increase from it, as well as a share of the company, and his boss paid him a huge bonus. He also got a few other perks like a company car. We're currently building our dream house. We were also planning to invest some of the money, so we had something aside for our retirement. Mother-in-law came to us the other day and told us that sister-in-law needs to move. She is currently renting, but the only properties available near her kids' school are for sale, not rent. She said we could afford to buy sister-in-law a new house and have sister-in-law pay off the house to us. Husband was on the fence with the idea. He thinks sister-in-law deserves a break. She has health issues and could use the help, but I didn't agree. I said sister-in-law is great and responsible, but I don't like making these kinds of financial deals with family. They always go sideways, and I'm not 100% on board with the idea. I mentioned before we do anything, I'd like to contact our accountant and lawyer so we can see any issues that may arise from an arrangement like this. It will also mean that our investment idea won't be able to happen. Mother-in-law freaked out at me and told me that it's husband's money, not mine, and I'm just being a gold digger. I have no rights to any of it, and husband can spend it in any way he wants. I have no say. She said my husband worked hard for this bonus, not me. Apparently, she always thought I was money hungry, and this money is allowing my true colors to show. Sister-in-law needs help, and he should help family. She told me I'm a greedy a-hole that only cares about money. Once she left, she texted my husband he needs to consider a divorce because I'll keep a tight leash on money that is rightfully his and won't let him spend it how he sees fit. She also said he needs to get a good family lawyer to take the kids away from me, or I'll use that as leverage to take more of his money. I also feel I need to add that when I met my husband, he had a retail job, which he quit, and I supported him while he finished his education. I supported him when he had a crappy job when his boss paid him nothing. It's never been about money for me, but now we have it. I just want to be careful. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mother-in-law is the real gold digger here and is projecting that onto you. Don't you dare tell my son what to do with his money. Buy your sister a house. Not the a-hole, and your husband needs to defend you and put her back in her place, ASAP. You are correct in getting your financial house in order first before anyone else. And I also agree with the never enter into loans or money deals with friends or family. Too much drama follows. Not the a-hole. Gold digger. Who is asking for money, having done nothing for it? Raising husband doesn't count. That was her job. You were the one supporting your husband while seeing if husband's informed. Big bet paid off. Mother needs to put her own money up for sister-in-law, or let sister-in-law and grandkids live in her house, which is, of course, what she's trying to avoid by spending her son and your money. A little no contact is in order unless mother-in-law comes to her senses, and she accepts that if she hadn't ducked up in raising sister-in-law, she wouldn't be on the hook for raising sister-in-law's children. My older brother was married briefly, and it didn't work out. He recently remarried. She's 22, he's 33. She's very pretty, but very young. She comes off as younger than she is in her attitude. She also doesn't seem unintelligent per se, but she has a high school education and has never worked a day in her life, and doesn't seem that interested in personal growth, education. She and my brother's explicit plan is to start having kids as soon as possible, ideally 3 or 4. She is right now a stay-at-home wife and will be a stay-at-home mom. They're already trying to get pregnant. My brother and I both inherited a nest egg when our dad passed away a decade ago, and our mom is well off too, and he makes a large salary personally. He has several properties and a full-time housekeeper. I don't have a problem with her or with him, though I do think the maturity levels seem like it would be an issue. I'm only 26, and due to this age difference have always had trouble relating to my brother as an equal. He can be patronizing, etc. At best, 22-year-old is equally mature to me, but realistically, a bit less mature since she's 4 years younger. So if my brother and I can't always relate as equals, it's hard to imagine her and him relating as equals. But like I said, she's not far from my age, so to me she's more of a peer, and I don't dislike her. She's fun. And I'm not working right now either, because like I said, I have money from my parents and a small business on the side. I do recognize it's a privilege to not have to work right now. So we've been hanging out sometimes during the weekdays, like grabbing coffee or going to the gym. I was at their house after going to the gym with her, and my brother was there. While she was grabbing something from another room, my brother took a shot at me for being unemployed and being able to just go to the gym for hours in the middle of the workday. I said, we're both going to the gym in the middle of the workday. Your wife is unemployed too. He said that's different. And I said, don't take shots at me for not working if you have a trophy wife doing the same. He got really offended and yelled at me. But in the process of him being offended, his wife heard what I said. Or maybe she overheard my comment. I'm not sure. She was upset too. But am I wrong for calling a spade a spade? Everyone sucks here, except maybe her. It sounds like you're trying to be friendly with her, then just insulting her. You like her enough to hang out with her, so don't be crummy to her. Your brother deserves a clapback, but not one at her expense. Everyone sucks here. Your brother for taking a stab on the fact that you are unemployed, while his wife is in the same boat. You for calling her a trophy wife. It's just not a nice term, and, in my opinion, pretty derogatory. So I can imagine that especially she is feeling upset about it, especially if you're hanging out as peers. Everyone sucks here. Your brother was wrong to say what he did, but you were also out of line when you lashed out at his wife in the same manner that he lashed out at you. A stay-at-home wife is not necessarily the same as a trophy wife. If you had simply left it at unemployed, I wouldn't be so critical of you, and I would agree that you were calling a spade a spade. You escalated up to insults by calling her a trophy wife, though. Me, 32 male, and my wife Alexa, 31 female, have an 8-year-old son named Drake. We have an established rule within our parenting style. It's a 2 yes and 1 no rule for anything. We've had success with this, and there hasn't been any issues. She's used to it regarding some of my hobbies she doesn't want Drake doing at his age. I respect that. Now the issue. I don't want Drake hanging around Alexa's sister, her kids. Alexa's sister Jackie is a crap person. When we first started dating, Jackie was married to a guy I knew. Well, not only did she cheat on him with a member of his own family, she tried to steal money from their joint accounts and then took the guy to court for alimony. When that didn't work, she tried for full custody. It was an absolute crap show and exposed the kind of person she is. After that, I didn't want Drake spending any time around her, because my theory is that morally defective adults raise bad kids. Her kids are already exhibiting some of her behavior. Also, she has a random string of boyfriends now, so I don't want Drake exposed to that or for him to be around random guys I don't know. I also don't know what Jackie is capable of either. My wife understood these concerns and promised to never have Drake around her sister, kids. Drake has plenty of cousins from my side, and also Alexa has a brother with his own kids, so it isn't like Drake is struggling for friendship. I went golfing on Saturday, but right before the round, my group canceled, so I went back home and my wife, son, were nowhere to be found. Her car was in the garage still, so I freaked out and called her. Her location wasn't showing up, so I went to all of her family's houses, eventually finding her and Drake at Jackie's pool with some other members of their family. I walked into the backyard and told Drake to grab his things, and we were leaving. My wife was shocked to see me and asked why Drake had to leave. I told her she knew the reason, and so stopped BSing. This is when her sister mouthed in and asked why Drake wasn't allowed over. I told her she knew why, and to not speak to me. She said I was an a-hole. I said better than a cheater and a thief. My wife's parents got super upset at that, and my wife asked me to speak outside. I said nope, grabbed Drake's stuff, and we walked out of the backyard with my wife following. She was asking to talk and that she needed a ride home because Jackie picked them up. I told her to get an Uber home because we were going to my mom's. I left and have been staying at my mom's the past couple days. My wife has called and tried showing up, but me and my mom have told her to leave. She wants an apology for embarrassing her and wants me to come home. I'm refusing until she apologizes for doing what she did. We're both standing firm. I feel like this is the hill to die on. She turned her location off, took my son to a place she knew I didn't approve of, and is trying to make me the bad guy. I need to know if I'm crazy or if she is wrong here. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For people asking if I'm keeping my wife from my son, the answer is no. She has come into my mom's house and had dinner with us, and has also been able to stop by and say hello. She wants both of us to come home. I also have a hard time believing this was the first time this has happened. I'm approving of Drake being around Jackie at family holidays or big events. But this was not just Jackie, my wife, their parents, and the kids, along with some random dude I assume is Jackie's boyfriend. So it wasn't a whole family event. Edit. For people saying I'm controlling for having my wife's location, she was literally the one who wanted it, so we always knew where each other were. It wasn't like I went immediately searching either. It was hours of no response. I didn't go looking till about 4 hours after I came home. Not the a-hole. She broke a rule you both agreed on, purposely hid it from you, and is refusing to acknowledge that she was in the wrong. And to all the people who are saying that you can't keep her away from her family, I assure you that sometimes that is needed. Edit, just to add. If you do a gender swap, no one would be calling the wife an a-hole if the dad brought their kid around their brother who they agreed to keep away from. Yes, the a-hole. Your reaction to her taking him there was to take the kid and not allow her to see him. Big ducking, yikes. Because my theory is that morally defective adults raise bad kids. I can confirm that your theory is BS. Sometimes it may be true, but it's absolutely not 100% true. Don't punish children for the actions of their parents. The fact that you believe this blows my ducking mind. Yes, the a-hole, controlling as duck, and seem to have a holier-than-thou mindset. I'm not going to argue that her sister has done bad things because she clearly has. But you're spilling what she has done onto her innocent kids. Because my theory is that morally defective adults raise bad kids. Please get over yourself. I know lots of friends with parents who have questionable behavior, and I also have a cheating dad, but you don't see us running around copying their behavior. You act like kids don't have a mind of their own and aren't capable of coming to moral conclusions themselves. She clearly had to go behind your back to spend time with her family, which is very telling. Your reaction was dramatic as duck, And the fact you still are prohibiting her from her kids is even worse. Yes, the a-hole. Yes, the a-hole. Yes, the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Don't listen to these people telling you you're the a-hole. Your wife agreed not to bring your son to her sister's. Then she lied to you, waited until you weren't home, and snuck away with your son. That's very deceitful. Your rule is stupid in my opinion, but that doesn't change the fact that your wife agreed to those rules and then betrayed you. I recently got married, and my relationship with his mom has never been good. To be perfectly honest, we despise each other, and she enjoyed causing drama during my wedding planning. We had an island destination wedding, and most of our family stayed a few days and made a mini vacation out of it. The night before the wedding, we had the rehearsal dinner, and afterwards people were swimming. She had an incident in the water and was caught in a riptide and thrown against rocks. It was scary to watch, so I can't imagine how she was feeling, and she hit the rocks a couple times before she could climb out. In the morning, I went to check on her just to be nice. She was pretty bruised and made a comment about how short her dress was and her leg looked gross. Her chest was also scratched up, and the dress would show that. Honestly, I just felt bad for her, and it did look gross. Her sister asked if she could wear the dress she wore a few nights ago because it was long. Mother-in-law said no because it was white. I said I was giving her a pass to wear white if she felt more comfortable in it. Mother-in-law was calm and didn't get mad, but said she didn't trust me and felt like it was a setup to make her look crazy, and that I'd let everyone laugh at her, or my bridesmaids pull some prank. I was furious. I was trying to be nice to her, and clearly that is what she thinks of me. I asked if she truly believed that, and she said yes. I said if she really thinks that little of me, she can go home and we don't want her. She rolled her eyes and asked if I was serious. I said yes. If she is going to accuse me of things and think the worst of my kindness, get the duck out. Mother-in-law said I was being dramatic, and she doesn't owe me trust. I later found out that she was telling people at the wedding about how I tried to kick her out, and a lot of people took her side. My husband is always on my side, but even he says I overreacted, and if she doesn't trust me, I can't make her, and it is her issue to work through, but no reason to kick her out. Yes, the a-hole. You said it yourself. You despise each other. I kind of get why she did not trust the white dress thumbs up. I would be cautious too. Not to mention that even if the bride gives the thumbs up, other guests may still find such outfit inappropriate. And you blew it out of proportion. You definitely overreacted. Yes, the a-hole. She gets pretty badly hurt, and you say her injuries look gross. Maybe your heart was in the right place, but considering how in bad taste that is viewed, especially for mother of the groom to wear white, and your admittedly bad relationship, no wonder she thought you were setting her up to look bad. I wouldn't have trusted it either. Everyone sucks here. You really shouldn't have gotten so angry with it. You're already at the destination. You already despise each other. There's obviously a huge issue of distrust here. She wants to be silly with the whole setup thing. Just shrug your shoulders and say, well, I offered. You took the bait. You came out looking like the bad guy. My 27 female sister, Emily, 34 female, has been struggling with infertility for years. She and her husband, Mark, 36 male, have gone through 3 rounds of IVF, each one draining their finances and emotions. Emily's pain is palpable, and I've always done my best to support her through this incredibly tough journey. But what she asked me recently has left me stunned, horrified, and questioning everything. A few weeks ago, Emily asked to meet me for coffee. She seemed nervous, but hopeful, and after some small talk, she dropped a bombshell. She wanted me to be her egg donor and surrogate. I was shocked, but told her I'd think about it. The idea of carrying my sister's child felt overwhelming, but I sympathized with her struggles and didn't dismiss it outright. After a few days of careful consideration, I told Emily I'd be willing to explore the possibility. We could consult doctors, discuss the process, and ensure all parties were on the same page. I wanted to help her, but also protect my own emotional and physical well-being. Last weekend, Emily invited me over to discuss logistics. I assumed we'd be talking about clinics and medical procedures, but instead, Emily blindsided me with an entirely different plan. She said that since IVF is so expensive and has already failed them 3 times, it would be more natural and cost-effective if I got pregnant by sleeping with Mark. I was stunned. For a moment, I genuinely thought she was joking, but her serious expression told me otherwise. I immediately told her this was out of the question. I said I was willing to go through the proper medical channels, but there was absolutely no way I would conceive a child by sleeping with her husband. Emily's response shocked me. She accused me of being selfish and unsupportive. She said I didn't understand her pain and that I was prioritizing my comfort over her dream of becoming a mother. The following days were tense. Emily began sending me long messages, alternating between guilt-tripping and begging. She told me that I was her only hope and that if I truly loved her, I would do whatever it took to help her become a mother. She painted me as the villain in this situation, claiming I was heartlessly abandoning her in her darkest hour. The pressure was relentless, and every time my phone buzzed, my stomach dropped. It didn't help that my boyfriend, Jake, 28 male, was furious on my behalf. He couldn't believe Emily had the audacity to suggest such a thing, let alone pressure me after I'd clearly said no. Jake's anger gave me some strength, but it didn't alleviate the knot of anxiety growing in my chest. Then the final straw came. A few nights ago, Emily called me, calmer but no less insistent. She started the conversation by apologizing for being so emotional and aggressive. For a fleeting moment, I thought she was going to back off and respect my boundaries. Instead, she dropped her final weapon. She threatened to tell our parents about a secret I've kept for over a decade. When I was 17, I got pregnant and had a termination. It was one of the hardest decisions of my life, and I've never shared it with anyone except Emily. Our parents are extremely religious and hold very black and white views about morality. If they ever found out, I have no doubt they would disown me and cut me out of their lives entirely. Emily knows this and is using it as leverage to get what she wants. I'm torn. On one hand, I feel a deep sadness for Emily and want to help her. On the other, her demand is outrageous and her threat is beyond cruel. I can't believe my own sister would weaponize my darkest secret against me. It's a betrayal I never saw coming, and it makes me question everything about our relationship. Since Emily's threat, I've been a wreck. I've been losing sleep, my appetite is gone, and I feel like a shadow of myself. If Emily tells our parents, my life as I know it will be over. My relationship with Jake, my standing in our family, my ability to trust anyone, it all feels like it's hanging by a thread. But the idea of complying with her demand is equally unthinkable. I can't imagine living with myself if I did what she's asking, not to mention the irreparable damage it would cause between us. Jake says I'm not in the wrong and should stand my ground. He's even offered to talk to Emily on my behalf, but I'm worried it will only escalate things. Meanwhile, Emily keeps piling on the pressure, acting like I'm a monster for not immediately agreeing to her request. She's told me that I'll regret this when I'm older, and that I'm prioritizing my pride over her happiness. Every day feels like a countdown to disaster. I've considered preemptively telling my parents the truth about my termination, but the thought makes me physically ill. It's a chapter of my life I'd hoped to leave behind, and I'm terrified of their reaction. At the same time, I don't know how much longer I can endure Emily's manipulation and threats. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to sleep with my sister's husband? This is absolutely insane. OP's sister's struggles with infertility don't justify her asking OP to destroy her own moral boundaries and potentially her relationship. The fact that she's using OP's deeply personal secret as a weapon against OP is unforgivable. If she's willing to go this far, I'd consider limiting contact or even cutting her off completely for OP's own mental health. OP should not let her manipulate OP into doing something OP will regret forever. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Wow, just wow. I'm so sorry you're going through this, OP. Emily's pain is understandable, but her actions are not. Threatening to reveal something so personal and traumatic just to get her way is beyond cruel. You're not selfish. You've already gone above and beyond by even considering surrogacy. Stay strong, and maybe consider preemptively talking to your parents, if possible, or seeking professional help to deal with this situation. You deserve better than this toxic behavior. Not the a-hole. What your sister is asking for isn't just unreasonable, it's disgusting. She's crossed so many boundaries it's hard to keep count. If she thinks helping her means sacrificing your body, relationship, and peace of mind, that's her problem, not yours. Her struggles don't give her the right to treat you this way. And using your secret as blackmail? That's a level of betrayal you don't come back from. Please protect yourself and don't cave to her manipulation. OP, your sister is completely out of line. She's clearly desperate, but that doesn't excuse her behavior. Blackmailing you with your past is cruel and manipulative, and it's heartbreaking that someone you love would do that. Please don't give in. What she's asking for is absurd and would destroy your life. Lean on Jake and any other support you have, and maybe think about taking some legal or professional steps to protect yourself from her threats. You're 100% not the villain here. Update. Short update, guys. I really didn't see this coming. After all the stress and sleepless nights, I started feeling unwell and realized my period was late. I decided to take a pregnancy test, and to my shock, it was positive. I'm pregnant. The next time Emily called to threaten me, I told her about the pregnancy, hoping it might put things into perspective. Instead, she completely lost it. She accused me of deliberately kicking her while she's down, and said this was the most painful thing I could have ever done to her. Emily told me she couldn't have me in her life anymore because seeing me pregnant would be too much for her to bear. Her reaction left me heartbroken, but also strangely relieved. It's devastating to see our relationship crumble, but at the same time, I feel like I can finally take a step back from the constant pressure and manipulation. Right now, I'm focusing on my own well-being and my growing family with Jake. As painful as this has been, I know I made the right choice to stand my ground. This happened last Sunday on Father's Day. This was my husband's first Father's Day. We have a 9-month-old together and we've been married for 2 years. To be honest, I'm not really that good at picking gifts, although my husband is very honest about what he'd like to get on every occasion, which helps a lot, and I always end up getting him exactly what he wants, no matter the cost. However, because this was Father's Day and it's his first, I decided to put effort and thought into my gift, and decided to gift him my deceased father's watch. My dad tragically passed away in 2015 from an auto accident a day before my birthday. It was hard for me to give it up, but my husband is the closest and dearest to me, so I thought he deserved it. He was in the kitchen having breakfast and checking his Facebook when I walked in and wished him a happy Father's Day whilst hiding the gift behind me. He covered his eyes and said, "Wait, you got my gift, right?" I told him to open his eyes, and he saw the open box with the watch inside it. He looked at it, then said, "Really? Your dad's old watch? How crappy. Come on, babe, you could have bought that Xbox Series 10 I've been waiting for and wanting to have for a long time. Geez, what are my friends gonna say now? I'm genuinely disappointed." My face was so obviously red, and I just stood there feeling anger washing over me. He looked at me and said, "What's with this face?" "Look, I'm not mad, honey, just disappointed." Then took the watch and said, "But I'll keep it if you want me to and wear it anyway, but not in front of my friends though." I harshly took it out of his hands when he was about to wear it anyway, and told him he didn't deserve it and the value it holds. He sarcastically asked whether it was valuable enough to trade it in for at least a used Xbox on Amazon. But I was talking about sentimental value, not monetary. I yelled at him and called him an ungrateful jerk, and quickly entered the room and started crying my eyes out. I felt so bad and wished my dad was there to tell him how much I love him. It just became so overwhelming. He followed me in and said he didn't understand why I was crying, and said that he already agreed to take it, but I decided to start an argument and then took it back. He wanted to take it, but I refused to give it to him. We went back and forth on this argument, and he just got upset with me and said my reaction was too much, and that I succeeded in ruining his first Father's Day for him, and hoped that I was proud of myself for what I did, then took the dog and left. We haven't talked ever since. Am I the a-hole? Nah, keep your heirloom and ditch the guy. Not the a-hole. What the hell was that cruel, cutting, sarcastic, sentimentalist, mercenary, sophomoric, emotionally clueless, socially inept piece of teenaged edgelord-level performance art you were just subjected to? You didn't ruin a damn thing. That was atrocious of him, and he just kept going and going and going until he had fairly ground you into the dirt. I'd say he just earned that being the last Father Day he ever gets. You spend them with your dad at the cemetery, and wear his watch to remember him by. Very sorry for your loss. And his kids should never ever give him a child gift of any sort, for fear of whatever condescending, dismissive, poisonous response he may spew at them. Not the a-hole. He sounds like a selfish and self-centered prick. Did he actually suggest you sell your deceased father's watch to buy him a ducking Xbox, so his friends would be impressed, and had the balls to state you ruined his first Father's Day? What an a-hole. I would never get him another gift again. I, 26 male, have an extremely strained relationship with my dad, 54 male. He and my mom divorced when I was 12 because he was cheating on her with someone half his age. This became a common thing. I'd come over for weekend stays with him a few times a month, and he'd introduce me to his new girlfriend who would rarely be more than like 6 years older than me. When I turned 16, I just stopped seeing him altogether and lived full-time with my mom. He never really provided for me, and I don't consider him a real parent, as he spent more time and money chasing after women young enough to be my sister. We started getting back in contact when I went to college, with the condition that he never introduced me to another relationship unless it was serious and they were planning to get married or make some kind of commitment to each other. Well, it happened. My dad decided to settle down. He told me he was planning to propose to his girlfriend, who he's been seeing since just before the world ended, which, I guess to be fair, is longer than most of his relationships. So I asked about her, and it turns out she's my high school girlfriend. What the actual duck? I'm extremely creeped out by this. I don't even think I need to write out why this makes me beyond uncomfortable. Not only that, but my dad knows I dated this girl. He knew this because that's how they ducking met. I honestly want to throw up every time I think about this. I told my dad this wasn't okay. It took everything in me to keep from completely losing it, but I told him if he marries her, I will never speak to him again. This was non-negotiable. I left soon after that, despite his protests, and am holding firm on this. However, he's been sending me messages and calling me, asking me to talk and understand his side, telling me he's finally found love. But I just get so angry and disgusted every time he messages me. I just ignore it. I apologize for any grammar or spelling errors. I'm admittedly a little drunk now. But am I the a-hole if I cut him off if he marries this girl? Not the a-hole. Your dad has issues, serious issues, and he hasn't finally found love. He wants this one all the more badly because he absolutely can't have this one, and now he calls this act of desperation love. Your father has issues, that's for sure. Seems like he's competing with you on some level. No contact 100%. It's one thing creeping on women half his age, but he crossed that big fat red line when he hooked up with your ex. Just blah. Does he have money? Is that why she's with him? Regardless, not the a-hole, and I'm sorry you're going through this. He's not unbelievably wealthy, but he's decently well off. I don't know why he's with her, and I really don't think I want to find out. Not the a-hole. It's bad enough when friends date someone you used to date, unless they talk to you first and got your blessing. But your father? Cut him off whether he marries her or not. I, 28 female, was lucky enough to have some help from my awesome paternal grandparents to buy a house when I was very young. I paid them back, but likely wouldn't have been able to afford a home for a decade or more without their help. Because they helped, and because they are easygoing and respectful, I ended up building a granny flat on the back of my property for my grandparents to live in when my G-Ma got sick. My mom was really upset that I didn't offer it to her, but I could never live near her, especially on the same property. For backstory, my mom and I have a rocky relationship. My grandparents did a lot of the raising of me, and as an adult, she doesn't respect any of my boundaries, especially that I don't want to spend all week or even a day every week with her. My whole life, she's always been going out with awful guys. She goes for these guys because they are bad boys and because they have money. A couple of years ago, her boyfriend at the time, who had just gotten out of jail, trashed her house she was renting, tens of thousands of dollars worth of damage. It's still a never-ending cycle of awful guys she moves in with her after a few weeks of knowing them, and then something happens and she has to move. Since then, she's had a really tough time being able to find a rental, as that incident left a permanent record on her renting history. So to say, she was quite upset when I moved my grandparents in. Recently, my husband and I have been fortunate enough to buy a rental property. We've just finished doing it up. New kitchen, carpet, drapes, heating and ventilation, new roof, fences, paint, etc. My mother asked to move into my rental. Rent is quite high in our area, and she can't keep up, especially in her limited pool of houses that are private and don't request renting background checks. My rental is priced on the cheaper side because we want someone who is going to love and take care of the place. It's part of our retirement plan, so we don't want just anyone living there. I really don't feel comfortable having my mom living in it, so I told her no. I'd be renting to a stranger as both money and family don't mix, and I don't want any of her boyfriends living there. My mom, along with my maternal G-Ma and auntie, have been saying how awful I am, that if they had rental properties, they'd let her rent it, that she doesn't even have a boyfriend and she won't move anyone in. I don't believe that, but I'm starting to feel bad as they said it will be my fault if she becomes homeless. I really don't want that, but it's a lot of risk for me to take. Am I the a-hole if I don't let my mother live in my rental? Not the a-hole. Maternal G-ma and your auntie don't have your best interests at heart. So make sure you tell your mom they offered their places to her. Don't risk your future on a definitive bad bet. Your mom is that bad bet. You wouldn't allow a tenant in that had a history of wrecking property and bad payment. This doesn't change just because it's your mother requesting. And you can be damn sure that once she was in, she would stop paying rent. Stand your ground. This is a business arrangement only. If your relatives feel so strongly about her moving in, advise them to invite her into their homes. See how quickly they backtrack. Not the a-hole all the way. Not the a-hole. They can buy a property for her to rent if they are so worried about it. Mom is an adult and can find her own place to live. Don't back down on this. My 31 female, sister, 29 female, and I have a rocky relationship, to put it mildly. We love each other, but don't often like each other. She finds me very cold and stubborn, and I find her to be one of those people who tells others how to feel and doesn't like to hear the truth when it comes to feelings. Some brief history. Our mom died when we were little girls, and 3 years later, our dad met our stepmom. My sister wanted us to have a new mom, where I didn't want a new mom. We fought about it even back then, but then when our dad remarried, we disagreed on her adopting us. She wanted to be adopted. I didn't. She told me we needed to be adopted together, or we'd be half-sisters. I told her that's not how it worked, because we had the same biological parents. It was when we started disliking each other, because she told me I wanted a new mom, and I told her I didn't. She also didn't like how I was polite but distant with our stepmother. And then when I was 15, my dad gave me the option to stay with family because he felt there were too many hard feelings building, and I took it. She was not happy. We got a little closer as adults, but not really. So anyway, my sister married young and has 3 children, ages 10, 8, and 7. Her first husband died 2 years ago, and she remarried in a virus wedding ceremony. Her kids are apparently taking after me, and that they have shown no desire to see their stepdad as their dad, and they're not overly warm and excited about his presence. My sister has used me as an example to try and get them to warm up to him and embrace the new dad thing, but the kids called her out on it and said I didn't consider stepmother to be my mom, and we're still not too close today. So she asked me to talk to them, to say I regret not letting her be my mom as a kid, that I regret not opening my heart to another mom, and that I love her now, and she is as much my mom as anyone could ever be. I told her I would not lie to her kids because those are not my feelings. She told me that's how I feel deep down. She's mad I won't talk to them, and mad I said it would be a lie. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Don't lie to the kids. And it's shameful that your sister didn't learn from her estrangement from you that she might end up estranged from her own kids. The ironic thing is that if she didn't pressure them to love the stepfather the way she wants them to, they would probably end up closer to him, or at least not connecting him with relentless emotional aggression. You're not the a-hole. Your sister is, though. She's disregarding her children's feelings. Those poor kids. I can only begin to imagine what they're going through. She needs to seek some therapy. Not the a-hole. Does your sister understand that parents aren't like goldfish? When one dies, you can't just get another one and replace it. It's not that she wants her kids to accept her new husband. She literally wants to replace their father, and that's not right. If she tries to force her kids or guilt her kids into accepting him, she'll only make it worse. Stick to your guns and live your truth. My daughter has been wanting a breast augmentation for some time now. She's still 1.5 years away from her university graduation. My husband and I pay for all of her expenses: tuition, books, rent, and money for her food and other miscellaneous expenses. We had planned to financially support her until graduation. We have given her lots of allowance since she was little. She must have at least 5 figures saved up. She brought up on the phone last month about going to a surgery consultation. I sympathized with her wanting the procedure, but I made it perfectly clear that if she goes through with the surgery, then she wouldn't be needing our financial support anymore. My husband agreed at the time. She can get a part-time job and make out school loans like most university students do. She came back yesterday for Thanksgiving break. She's been wearing the same oversized sweater since she came back. Needless to say, my husband and I were suspicious. After she came back home from a long day with her friends today, I asked her to prove to me she didn't go ahead with the surgery already. She was flustered and trembled when she told me she didn't have the surgery yet. I went to her closet and pulled out a small t-shirt and told her to put it on and come out to show me. She broke down in tears and admitted to getting the surgery. My husband rushed over and asked us what happened. I told him about my test to prove whether our daughter has done the surgery already. He told me that I went overboard and hugged our daughter. I brought up the conditions we discussed earlier, that we would cut financial support if she got the surgery. My husband went back on his agreement with me. He told our daughter that we would continue to love her forever and financially support her through university. He makes all the money, so I suppose he gets the final say. After a long hugging and bonding session with our daughter, my husband told me once again that I went overboard when I made her prove to me she wasn't lying. He thinks that I should have believed her when she said she didn't have the surgery. Yes, the a-hole. You knew your daughter had money saved up, and you knew she could afford stuff before the surgery anyways, but you kept on paying. Your problem is the fact that you didn't want her to get the surgery, not the money, and the testing is creepy and odd. So, your husband is mad you didn't believe your daughter's lie, because she lied to you both, and didn't bother to tell you she was having surgery. Risks involved there. And your husband went back on the agreement you had about how to handle this situation, without talking to you beforehand, leaving you feeling you have no say just because he makes the money. After this, you're worried about being the a-hole? It's not you. Your husband, definitely. Daughter a little for lying. Not the a-hole. Everyone sucks here. She shouldn't have lied, but your test is super creepy and weird. I get the logic behind you not wanting her spending her money on such an unnecessary thing, but it's kinda your fault for not teaching her the value of $1. Sounds like this girl has never worked a day in her life. Your husband is the biggest a-hole here, though. It's really crappy he would undermine you and go back on such a major parenting decision.